2, 1.
Well, hello and welcome to The Code. I'm Pastor Henry Green, and I have the privilege of sharing this platform with two other incredible young men. I love this show because it's something that is very rarely seen. 3 generations of Black men just chopping it up. So I want to take a moment now and allow my co-hosts to introduce themselves.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Tommy Patterson. I'm representing that middle generation. Sit back, relax, take some time. Welcome to The Code.
Hello, everybody. My name is Dwayne Lloyd. Yippity! How do you do? Welcome to The Code, man. I hope y'all enjoy this episode. Welcome.
And I'm Pastor Henry Green. I represent, I guess, what we call the plus crowd. We don't give a number, we just say and I'm excited to be on the show, but I think D may have had some sugar cookies before he came on today.
Listen.
He fired up and ready to go.
Listen. Man said,
we're coming up at the end of 2020. And so we kind of want to talk about what 2020 was about, the highlights for 2020. What you guys think about that double 20?
Elders first.
Man, I from the get-green, from January 1st, me and my wife had a conversation. We talked about what the new year, what we expect. And I told her, maybe I spoke out of my spirit. I was like, you know what? I think 2020 is going to be that year we see everything what we're supposed to see. She said, why? I said, 2020. And if I'll be daggone, that's exactly what's happening. I have not been able really to catch my breath. Like we said last week, man, you know, as a screenwriter, you're supposed to give the audience a pause where they can catch their breath and gather themselves. I have not been able to gather myself since Kobe's death. You know what I mean? From that point to right now, I'm still going to loop-de-loops on a roller coaster. My stomach is in my throat. I'm like, what the world? And then today I heard that Shabba-Doo from the Breaking movies died. Him and the girl from Gilligan's Island. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, come on, man, for real? Yeah, Marianne. I'm like, for real? I'm like, oh my goodness. And it's relenting. I got a partner in Vegas, and I called him. I was like, man, I said, bro, I hate to call you and tell you somebody else died, but I mean, it's like it just goes on and on and on. 2020 has been I think collectively the entire planet can say we've never seen anything like 2020. It's just mind-boggling.
I think for me, so I'm not a cliche person. So all year long you heard, 2020 is the year double vision God's gonna do. And I'm like, so by March, I was like, so all y'all wonderful, deeply spiritual people that saw all of this amazing stuff happening, what God are y'all talking to? Because I'm a little confused. If you're telling me you saw blessings, prosperity, favor, and everything else, but you didn't see death and pandemic and 300,000+ lives, wars, rumors of wars, biblical stuff that we know, but you know, y'all hopped on this 2020 bandwagon, and I was like, who's really listening to the Lord? Who's really actually listening? And so it was really, really off to me. But the other side of it, for me, it has been a blessing. You know, like I've said before, I've sustained probably one of the biggest losses of my life, but it also propelled me to kind of, you know, jump out there and do what I needed to do. It has not been, for me personally, outside of losing my brother, a bad year. I've had a lot of time to think, a lot of time to develop, a lot of time to reinvent myself. You know, really, really focusing on, you know, my work, personal work in terms of my spirit and my mind and my thoughts. And so externally, it may not have looked like it was a great thing, but it has really, really proven to just be like that propelling type of situation. Like, Get ready. It's still going to be really, really unorthodox, I believe 2021 will. But overall, I can't really complain.
Well, Tavi, so one of the things I've kind of seen based on what you were saying is I think this absolutely was the year of dual vision.
Mm-hmm.
I think there are two distinct realities, and both of them are actually real.
Yeah, yeah.
I think for some people, this has been a horrendous year. And then for another group of people, it's been a fantastic year. Now, of course, we never are celebrating the loss
Right.
because there's been a lot of transition. So it's not that. But I know at our church that God did share a vision, and our theme for the year was 2020 Vision to Victory. And I think it's absolutely been a year that cleared up people's vision. I think a lot of the delusions that we've lived in
Yes.
For a few decades now, like even the racial thing, there are moments when we tried to act like we didn't have a racial problem.
Right.
I mean, America really tried to act like, no, it's all cool. We all kumbaya. We listen to rap music. It's kind of like, no, bruh, it's a lot deeper than that. And so like the thing to me with the racial thing is it's been so exposed. I mean, it is so clear that even people that was trying to say y'all tripping, got to a point where they went, you know what? Maybe y'all what? I mean, and here's what's so blatant to me. It was like, okay, the first one, the second one, the third one, you would think, okay, everybody's on alert. Don't shoot black men like that when you're arrested. And what it kind of showed me was it is so ingrained in the system, it's almost like they can't help it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's normal.
Yeah. I mean, it's SOP, standard operating procedure. And so even when this is a hot button right now, don't them instincts kick in and just get to the place where they just do it. And then it's like, okay, we'll deal with the consequences later on.
Ask for permission later.
Yeah. So I think it's been absolutely a year of clear vision.
Yeah. One of the things that I thought about America in that this whole year is something that I noticed in myself. I'm looking at my face on the screen, and it's a little rounder than it was back last January. You know what I'm saying? Cheeks are a little fuller. You know what I mean? I ain't got so much dimple in my face. It's because I've been eating. And so recently I got back on my workout regimen, and I'm getting on the treadmill, and I have these wonderful revelations. I think that's just me and God's time. And as I started running, I started getting back into it. It was harder for me to run at 8 miles an hour than I used to. I can't run at 8 miles an hour. I literally cut that in half. Like, let me do 4.5. Matter of fact, I might just run at 3.5 miles an hour. At 8, I ain't there no more. And as I was running, I came across this revelation. I got it written on my wall, so I'm looking up at it. It says, once you have decided who you want to be, stay honest about the work you have done. That way, you never have to play catch up. One of the things that America has done, America has never been honest about what it wants to be and what it really is. And so in 2020, that reality hit us in the face. That reality of we're not there isn't as much equity floating around America as we like to say. There isn't as much racial harmony as we thought we had. All of those things became exposed in 2020. And it's a good thing too, because now we know we're not in the shape we thought we were. As America, we see our cheeks are a little puffy, and our pants are a little tighter. All right, let's do the work now. And I think that's where we are as a country.
I think it's interesting that when you say doing the work, I like the quote. So I need you to text that to me. Amen. But I also think that one of the bigger issues that we face as a country is we don't want to look in the mirror unless it's a good look. We don't want to look in the mirror and see anything unless it's going to make me feel beautiful or kind. And my cousin was talking to me about she is one of those individuals that believes in worshiping the ancestors. She believes in God, but she does all the altar stuff. And they have a term called shadow work. And she was like, shadow work is internal work. And she said, if you do it the right way, it'll have you on the ball, on the ground and in the fetal position. Because you really, really have to do the work to come like the Alanya fix my life type of situation. And I think that we've never, ever done that. We just kind of feel it's like pacifying it, like, oh, you got a bleeding wound. We'll just put a Band-Aid over it. But it really needs to be clean, stitched up, and, sanitized and everything so it doesn't happen again. You'll have a scar, but that scar heals. We haven't never reached that point because certain groups of people, certain sectors of individuals in our society are okay with it being the way that it is because it's a financial benefit to them. For other people to be downtrodden and feel the way that they feel, it's economically beneficial to other people. We've never ever really looked at those things, and so I think that when Pastor says, the double vision, I can appreciate that version of 2020. The other versions that I heard were, you're going to get your brand new vehicle this year and God's going to send your wife and you're going to get your $1 million house. And I'm like, why lie? Quit telling people that. It's not going to happen that way. Well, it's not. I got
to argue with you a little bit there, Tavi, because this season is a season that's dependent on mentality. And so I am really proud to say that God has been prepared with a mentality. And my people did flourish this year. I mean, I probably have maybe 15 new houses in the congregation. I can't even count how many cars have been purchased. People have started new business because to some degree, when everybody else is running scared, this is the best time to acquire. Like I would, and we like had briefings where we really talked over this. I said, look, a whole lot of businesses are owned by baby boomers. Baby boomers are right on the cusp because I'm at the bottom of the baby boomers. But most baby boomers are within 5 years of retiring. So when the pandemic hits, that whole thing goes down. You're going to have to revamp systems. A lot of baby boomers were saying, we don't even want to do this. We don't have the energy to do this. If they had enough money, they said, look, we just going to retire. Let somebody else take it. So you got people that'll sell you a business because you might pay them. They a lot of times they're not checking your credit right now. If you come in, you got a plan, you seem sharp. God has put you back in the ball game but you have to have that tolerance for risk. So like Tavi with the cars, we told people, now this is not the season if you don't have a car note to go and make one. But if you already got a car note, this is a great season to upgrade because you can get more car, a newer car, and end up your payment being less because they were cutting such fabulous deals. And I mean, we have people flourishing all over the place.
I think that it's the reason I say I can respect your focus on that is because of the distribution of the method. Everywhere else that I heard that, it was like everybody was just saying it became so cliche. And there was no preparation or action steps for what vision does, because vision isn't always good. Sometimes it alerts you that something's wrong. Something needs to be changed. You need to be better in the area. You're not as good as you thought you were. Let's do this. God wants to implement this, X, Y, and Z. All I heard was stuff is coming. And I'm so used to hearing this stuff is coming, but no one's prepared for it when it gets here, so you lose it. So there's a cycle. And so 2020, to me, I didn't get hyped. One, my pastor's, our vision for the house was not anything related to that. It was rise and serve. He said, this is the season where people are going to need you to give your best version of yourself to support. If you're strong, you really going to have to bear the infirmities of the weak. And I promise you, from my personal life, that's exactly what this was this year. I've never had to be more mentally tough and emotionally tough than I've ever had in this year in my life. While trying to hold on to things and still, so it challenged me to do more and to really, really put things into perspective. I just think a lot of leaders, and even if you just look outside of church, like everybody was excited about, because, double, the term double mean I'm getting more, but we didn't think about what that more was, whether that was stress, whether that was sickness, whether that was a health battle, whatever the case may be. We didn't really look at that. And everybody just like hopped onto it. But, I think the difference between you and a lot of other men of God is that you have vision and you understand, you actually listen to the Lord. So when you said 2020, it wasn't like, oh, well, God's going to send everybody $1 million and we're all driving Range Rovers and Benzes and we're going to live in high rises in New York City. No, it was like, no, there's two sides to this. The fact that you were able to sit down with your people and explain what that is, and what one side of 2020 is versus the other side of 2020. And if you do the work on the left, you'll get what you need on the right. We didn't get that. We just got, oh, the Lord, and shouting and running and stuff. And I'm like, so we're doing all this. And
well, D, you said something I kind of want to go back to. Okay. I had this experience coming into this year, actually, like for the last couple of years. So God gave me this analogy, and particularly, I think this is particularly connected to people of color. And a lot of people, I think, have misread this. So what God showed me is that we are people notorious for boxing stuff up. So like when we get hurt, the economic reality for us a lot of time is that we don't have time to deal with being hurt. So when stuff happens to us, we box it up, seal it. And actually, when we box it up, it smothers the hurt. Mm-hmm. But it doesn't allow what was hurt to heal. We put it off to the side, and then our lives are so hectic, we never go back and unbox it. Mm-hmm. And then we get to a point where something's stinking in our lives because rotten stuff in them boxes out into our lives, and we don't even understand where the stench is coming from. Yeah. So I know for the first part of 2020, God made me go back and unbox some stuff. Mm-hmm. There were some experiences I had to go back and I had to reprocess them. So that, because some of them I had made conclusions based on my knowledge of them at the time. Yeah. And when I went back and revisited them, what was really hurting me wasn't true at all. Have you guys had any experiences like that coming into a season like this?
Yeah, I personally, that's kind of where I've been all year long. Is I totally identify with what Toby's saying. Is like you get tired of hearing about the stuff, and what I've learned how to do in my 50 years is, as opposed to making the observation apply to others, let's look at self. Let's look at me. And one of the things I began to understand about myself was that I had asked God to do A, B, and C, and I didn't have the ability to manage the very thing that I was asking him to do. I was incapable of managing, the things that I was wanting God to do. And I personally I'm of the opinion that, what good would it do God to bless me with something that I'm incapable of managing? And so it's like, Lord, show me how to manage the very thing that I'm asking for. And I think for me, 2020 was about learning how to manage my emotions, my time, my thoughts, my intent, all those things that pour into, where God is taking me based upon the things I've not only petitioned him for, but the things he's foreordained for my life, even before there was an earth. And so I'm in that place where, okay, Lord, show me how to manage this, because as a professional screenwriter, I got all day to do whatever it is that I do, but I have to manage my time. I can't procrastinate. One of the things I posted on my social media is procrastination is the arrogant assumption that God is going to give you more time to do the thing he already gave you time to do before. You can't do that. I mean, and the Lord showed me, he's like, no. You're in this season of 2020, you're going to learn how not to procrastinate. You're going to manage your time. You're going to learn how to manage your thought process. You're going to learn how to manage your body. And that's the grand finale here. At the end of the year, you're going to have to manage your body, manage your eating habits, manage everything, so that when I move you into that season that you've been praying for, you can manage all the blessings. Because the one thing I don't believe God will allow me to do is give the kingdom a black eye. I blessed that boy with all that stuff, and look how it turned out.
Yeah,
that's not edifying to anyone. That's a cautionary tale, and I just don't want to be that. I want to be the cautionary tale.
I definitely, man, what you just said, all of that. That whole being able to manage yourself. I remember before I got into my car accident, the Lord said to me, "The blessings of the Lord maketh one rich and adds no sorrow." And He said, "What adds sorrow is mismanagement of what you have been given."
Yep.
And so,
wow.
I got to thinking about so how do I handle what I have? Am I unrealistic in what it is I'm asking God for? Am I in the place to keep economically and socially what I want? So in terms of getting a vehicle, I want right now, and this is my favorite car is a Range Rover. I don't make the money for that just yet. And all the additives that come with it. Then I was like, well, cool, I'll get this this Jeep Wrangler Unlimited, the box Jeep, the Rubicon. And so my baby brother was like, no. He said, do you know how much it costs to fix them? I said, I don't care about that. I'm asking God. He's going to take care of it. And then I'm sitting in my house one day, I was like, God, I can't afford that. You give it to me, I'm going to give it right back to them. All because I know that I can't. So I'm like, what ways can I better myself? And the Lord helped me to understand that don't lose what your request was of me. Don't minimize what you're asking me for your future, because I heard you when you asked me the first time. But I'm concerned about your today. I'm concerned about your right now. What can you manage where you are right now today? And so look for something that's within your price range, within your taste, within what you like. And if you know me, I always say I'm a bougie Black man. So I like classy and finer things. I do. But how can you do that? How do you do that in a way that is going to, as you said, not bring a black eye to the kingdom, and you manage right.
Yeah. Because we are our gazing stock.
Yeah. Yeah. What we have this exercise we do called "What Do You Want?" Pardon me. And so what we do is we put two people together. They sit knee to knee, or pre-COVID, they sit knee to knee. And the person just keeps asking you, what do you want? What do you want? And you just got to keep firing back answers, because a lot of times what we want is not really what we say we want. People say they want to be rich. But what does rich mean? It really means, what does it mean to you? So there's something underneath this concept of rich, which is what you really want. And it's like, D, like you were saying, kind of digging down in those layers. Because, Tavi, you were saying that too, because sometimes we just stay too much on the surface.
Right.
And we don't get into, you want this kind of car. Why? What does that do for you? What is it you want from this? Why did you dress like this? What do you want from that? And so I made a car decision because, my dream car has been a Bentley forever. I mean, I'm a car guy. I love cars. And I'd said, I want a whole lot of particular cars before my time here on earth is up. And so Bentley had been my dream car. This year it shifted. I was really drawn to Tesla. Like I really wanted the Tesla X. But see, it was like, okay, why do I want the Tesla X? So I had to kind of start digging into it, Tavi, to see, okay, what am I attracted to in this car? And what does that mean for me? And how does this reflect who I am, an extension? And so I had a decision to make because the engine went out in my car. And I'm like, I own my car, and I'm like, I could take this much money and fix this car, or I could take this much money and put it down on a Tesla. And I really ended up digging into, well, what am I really about right now? And what I came to the conclusion was, I'm really about freedom right now. Freedom is very important to me. So when I say that, a car note is not freedom for me. And so it like made this decision I was wrestling with very easy. Like freedom is fix a car that you already own. And that's that. And so I think it is, to some degree, even when it comes to the things, what's beneath that? What is it that you really want out of that?
Yeah, the inquisition of why.
Yeah.
You're inquiring as to why. One of the things, it's been an observation that when you ask why enough, you get about 4 or 5 times. If you ask why and answer the why about 4 or 5 times, that's the real reason why.
You start getting to it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because even with our professions, it's like, why do you want to do that? What's the why behind that? And I think 2020 has absolutely been a year that has kind of forced us into some different realities of why.
It's interesting you said that, Pastor, because I was just having a conversation with a partner of mine, and I was telling him, he asked me, he's like, man, he said, why have you, I've known you for 20 some odd years. Like, I always know you was into the film stuff, but why a screenwriter? And again, my why ultimately came down to is I get tired of non-Black people trying to tell Black stories in Hollywood. Bottom line, they tell stories, they tell jokes that we don't laugh at. they tell it from a perspective that is not Black, but it passes off as Black. And it's like, no, let Black people write them stories. And so I'm looking around, and there aren't a whole lot of Black screenwriters. Like, I fill the void, fine, whatever. But yeah, man, this is once you get to that why, it changes the game.
Yeah,
I don't think everyone is, and I think that's one of the beautiful things about what has happened this year is like it forced me to actually ask the questions of like, why did you do this? Why did you do that? Why do you want that? Is there a particular reason why you want to do this? Because like you're passionate about this, but there's passion enough to get you the wealth that you're trying to go after. What are your real goals for this year? Like I've never done like the goals to sit down and actually pinpoint them, and we're going to work. Never. I just go.
No, hold on. Let me ask you. When you came to one of those whys, was it have you ever come to one of those jacked up whys? Like, oh my God,
yeah.
Let me give you an example. So being without a car, you it really forced me to think about like, what do you be doing? Like, and so when I rent one just to go do what I need that I have to do. So like if I got an event to go to, if I got to go out of town, we've been in the house for 6 months. So I'm like, I'm not pressed for any of that because I can get to where I need to go. And so when I was like, well, now we were at church one Sunday, my pastor prophesied and was like, the Lord has seen you go through whatever measure you do to get here. You don't complain about stuff. You just go do what you got to go do. And so God needs you to start looking for what it is you're asking him for. And he's going to connect you with the individual to literally hand you the keys to what it is you're looking for. So, I took that like big time. Like, hey, listen, I know I can get this Range Rover. And my personal MO is I live in an apartment. I'm not pulling up to no apartment in no $151,000 car. Sorry, not happening. Unless you give it to me, and even then, I would probably sell it, cut the price in half, and take the other 50 and do something else with it, because it just doesn't make sense to me. And so I started looking at big, but then I wasn't thinking about it. So when I had the whole why moment, it was like, you can't even afford that. You're trying to build a business. You're working, doing all this stuff. How are you going to manage those moments, when you have to do X, Y, and Z? And so God began to bring to my attention. He said to me that man looks at the outer appearance, I look at the heart. And so that kind of stumped me. Like it made me stop and like actually do some work. Like, why do you really want that? So then I started thinking about when I'm by myself and I'm jogging through the city or whatever, the thoughts that are going through my mind about how having this makes me feel, how it brings glory to me, how it makes me appear to be somebody that I'm not.
Wow.
And I didn't got it. So I went and got all this, and I'm living a lie trying to prove a point. And I'm barely holding on, and I'm praying that they don't come pick this thing up because I really can't afford it and I'm behind 4 payments. And then God said, most people don't even care what you drive. So he started allowing me to pay attention to the people that live in the complex, the doctors, the lawyers. These people drive Priuses, 19 or 2001 Altimas, 1998 Tahoes, and they're financially well off, but these are things that don't matter to them. Yeah. And so it was like, instead of having that mentality of entertainment and appearance, what's the necessity here? The necessity is to get to where you want to go. And so I was like, well, God, I can forego all of that other stuff. I just want to have a nice vehicle that I don't have to put millions of dollars into fix. And so the why component becomes even bigger to me because it started guiding my decision making. I'm reading Juanita Bynum's Matters of the Heart because that's something that he led me to do. Like, go pick up the book and read it and like dig into it. And there's a section in the beginning in the preface, because I never read the preface. I don't know why. I just go right to chapter 1 and go. But the preface, she was talking about having a conference and how she's mad she didn't get the showing that she wanted, and God snapped on her. This is all about you. You want to do what you want to do. This ain't about me. You think that you worshiping me, but your heart is so far from me, it's ridiculous. All this was about you. And I was like, ooh, and I'm laying there in the bed like, I gotta close this out. That got to sit over there. I don't know if I'm even ready to hear that. But the truth of the matter is like getting all this stuff was really, really just about me feeling how I personally wanted to feel and thinking that it would bring me something that it would never bring me. It would never, ever bring me the peace that I wanted. It would bring me more stress. And so I've traded those things for what God has in his hand for me in this season. And I'm okay with that. He's slowly building what I asked him for later on in my life, which was stability. And to be wealthy holistically, not just have money, but to be wealthy mentally, physically, emotionally, and spiritually, and being able to lead properly my family, my children, and those that I've been entrusted with. So that why question was something that I never wanted to ask because I knew what he was going to say. But I was compelled to do it. And so because of that, it has helped me to be realistic about what I'm asking for, what I'm looking for.
Well, Tavi, it's interesting you say that because I have 2 places where that story hits me. The very first one was when I was trying to go into business, and I did have to do that delayed reward. So when I graduated from college, a lot of my friends went out and bought what I call the baby BMWs, and you know, they ride nice. You know, in those days it was like the 318, you know, but right out of college, you know, that was the stuff. And I had a Chevette. It was paid for. It had you know, they don't make them no more, but it had a little trunk. And I mean, like, they was dogging me. I mean, like, my boys was like, man, you got a degree, dog. What's wrong with you? You know? And it was like I was banking all that money all that time. And, you know, even, you know, some people are aware that prior to being called into ministry, significantly prior, I own restaurants and nightclubs. And Tavi, I used to be the picture man, the guy that walked around in the club taking pictures and selling them. And like my boys would be dogging me. I mean, like dogging me. But what they didn't realize was when they were spending $100, I was making $300 to $500, sometimes $1,000 a night, taking pictures. And so when I actually bought my first club, a lot of people didn't even know my name. They just called me Picture Man. And somebody said, well, Picture Man got the club. And they're like, how Picture Man got the club? Because I didn't get into all of that form and fashion. I stayed home with my parents a little longer so I could bank more money. I drove an old used car that I did. And it was funny because the women wouldn't give me no rhythm. You know, it was like, you know, Picture Man couldn't get no rhythm. And when I bought the club, it, you know, I mean, women that I had even tried to push up on, they was like, hey, when we going out? I'm like, never. You
Right,
know,
exactly.
all you saw was, you know, when I
Yeah.
had to run the car and that. So it is, Tavi, to a degree, understanding that concept of delayed rewards and not being motivated by the opinion of others.
You know what? That's interesting, man. That blessed me
Absolutely.
because I've been kind of here running in my mind. One, why I haven't really asked myself is me and my wife have been talking about moving to LA. And as you guys were talking, I started asking myself, like, why do I really want to move to LA? You know, and so the first why is because I don't want to be in Indianapolis. And, you know, and then
That's good enough for me.
yeah, you know what I mean? Basically, that's kind of where it goes. But then, you know, I started to ask myself as Toby was talking, I started asking myself, I'm like, is there an emotional reason why I don't want to be here? And there it is, because you were talking about feelings, Toby, and that's the part that got me. I was like, do I have feelings associated with being in Indianapolis? Indianapolis ain't a bad city. I've been in way worse cities than Indianapolis. I've lived in 13 different cities. I know a bad city. Indianapolis ain't that bad. You know, it's middle of the road. It ain't great. It ain't the worst. And so I was asking myself as you guys were talking, like, what is it that I really want? And ultimately, I came to the conclusion it's because of my career. I got to be in LA. It's easier to be in LA. It's easy. I mean, yeah, you could do it with the internet and how things are working out, but to be there, someone calls you and says, "Hey, can you meet me at the Starbucks? You know, on Vinland and Ventura." Okay, yeah. As opposed to being, oh, well, give me a couple of days to get out there. Oh, I got to catch a flight. So that sort of thing. But the emotional aspect is that, you know, there are personal things, and you know, I look at it as like, is it because, you know, I, you know, have an ex that moved to Miami? Am I competing? You see what I'm saying? It's like those sorts of things started to rise up, and I was like, no, it's not that. I had to ask myself the honest question: was it that? But I've ultimately determined that it's not that. It's more about me establishing, you know, my career in LA. But thank you for, you know, the conversation of asking why and understanding the emotions that come with the questioning, because we'll give ourselves a way out every time. That's the one thing I found about myself. If I'm not careful, I'll give myself a pass on some stuff and then look up and like, I wouldn't straight up about with myself about that thing. And now it's turned out, you know, not so well.
Well, you know what's hard though is that if you submit to the Lord, God will strip you.
Amen. Amen.
Yeah,
Amen.
he will strip you. Like all that facade you got going on. I think a lot of times before you can really move into your purpose, you got to be stripped down. Because I
Yep.
know for me, I told you I was a car person. So once I bought a Mercedes, I intended to never have a moment in my life where there was not a Mercedes in my life. And so I got to this place where I had gone into ministry. My wife and I are living large. We out in Carmel, 5-bedroom house, 3 cars. I got a convertible and a Benz, and she got a BMW. I mean, we doing that thing, and then it's like, okay, is it about this stuff? Is it about purpose? And
Right.
so purpose kind of arose. I had given myself into ministry. I was working 2 other jobs to supplement, and both of them jobs dried up. And all I had was my church, which was Emmaus. And at that point, we had like 45 people. And if I took the whole offering, it didn't make a dent. I had big boy bills. And so I remember I sold my Mercedes and I just had the little convertible, and then the engine blew out in the convertible. And I'm like, okay, God, this ain't even fair. This, I was making money before I accepted this. And now I'm trying to do it your way. But God was stripping some stuff off of me because I was really attached to what people thought about the car I drove.
Right.
And so I remember, Tavi, my sister gave me a 93 Dynasty that was like she didn't trade it in. I don't think they'd give her much for it to trade in. And so she just kept it, and so she gave it to me and it was rusting out on the bed. And I'm like, okay, God, I teach prosperity. And I got that reality, Tavi, when you pull up the light, the girl next to you look over. When you pull up in a Dynasty, they don't look over.
No.
So, but I started seeing the freedom of it. Like I didn't care where I park it. If you ding the door, it didn't matter to me. It just, it was like I'm like, okay, God, I represent you. And if this don't bother you, it ain't gonna bother me. And Tommy, what I'll tell you is the day I got over that, like I just got over it. Like I'm like, okay, God, I'm cool with this. You cool with it? I'm cool with it. He gave me the Benz back.
Wow.
And when he gave it back to me, I didn't even have to do nothing. Like this guy called me. He said, hey, I got a Benz truck down here. If you want it, just come on down. We'll fill the paperwork out when you get here.
Wow.
Like he didn't even do a credit app. He just like set the payments up and just did it. But it was because I had to get over myself. And get
like
that stuff.
That whole sitting and waiting for you to come to the conclusion that this is not going to complete you.
Yeah.
I mean, I started having all of those conversations when Derek passed, all of those, like, where's my identity? One of the things I struggled with earlier when we were all friends and when everybody was living here was they were in church and that was the sphere that I was thrust into. So they had reputations there and I didn't want a reputation here. I didn't care. I don't want to be a preacher. That's, I'm a minister, because that's what I was told to go do. But I don't want to be in your pulpit preaching and stuff like that. I'm not interested. That's not even my area. I'm articulate enough to do it. I can well-verse, whatever, but I really don't care. You never called me and asked me to stand in your pulpit. I will be perfectly okay with that. That's not my thing. But the community, that's my area. That's where my heart is. And so I was like, you're living in the shadow. And I remember when I got my car, it was a Volkswagen CC 2014, gold, like grayish gold. And when you watch that boy, it comparably visually better than every car. And I remember one of his friends had a really, really old Mercedes, like really, really old, BMW. And so we're out on 38th Street and we all parked next to each other. So Derek had an Audi, I had a Volkswagen, and then his boy had like this old BMW, which to me, I understand because I've had the car that don't got no radio. I've had the car where the windshield wipers don't work and you got to stop on the side of the road because you can't see. I've been there, so I totally get it. But we were walking to get the hot dogs and we're talking, we're walking back, and my car is in the middle and it's glistening. The sun's hitting it all right. And his buddy was like, man, that car is bad. Like, what is that? And to me, it was like, it's just a Volkswagen. It is what it is. Later that evening, we ended up going to church. And so we walked out when everybody was gone. And everybody was like, man, that's nice. And, you know, just as I think now, I'm like, you know, it gave me a sense of pride. Like, you know what? Yes, it's my stuff. And then, you know, you make the silly mistake of not handling your business and you lose it. And so now your stuff is in the hands of someone else because it was pre-ordered. You didn't take care of it the way that you should have. You know, you didn't really, you did what you needed to do when you were forced to do it. And so going through the season where you don't have it and having to maneuver it, and then you're getting back to, okay, well, God, now you're telling me to go look again. Let me be real about this. You know, what is my emotional attachment, as you said, D, to this image? And when I trace that, it all goes all the way back to my childhood of how we lived, you know, and then what we lost when we came here. You know,
Yep.
we in a 5-bedroom house, everybody got what they want, you know, but my parents' marriage fails and drugs are involved and there's abuse and there's all this other stuff. And then we come here into the hood. Where it's 5 people living in a house already, and there's 2 bedrooms, and then there's 7. I'm sorry, and there's 5 of us that come. So we on top of each other. So as a kid, you know, you long to never be in that position again. So wealth and success is associated with more things. And the more and more I thought about it, I was like, I stopped caring about this. And one of the things that my best friend, I used to say to him all the time, you are a well-dressed man, but you care a whole lot about how you look in front of people. And I'm the one that'll come to church in jeans and a t-shirt and be perfectly fine. Because in my mind, I have more. God did that to me in education. You think you're smarter than everybody, so I'm gonna make you work in a warehouse. Yeah, I want you to wrap furniture at Ashley with people who don't have nothing that you have. And I'm gonna let somebody who is not nearly as smart as you be over you. Man, you know, you talking about heated, like you're dumb. And but this person is making all the decisions, and I'm gonna make it to where they don't even like you. I'm gonna let them pick with you every single day until you come off your cloud, because you think that all that stuff matters and it doesn't. And here it is, this man makes way more money than you. You're working through a temp agency and they won't even hire you, but he makes $65,000 a year and drives a Cadillac and goes home to a house in Carmel. And he ain't lifting a finger. He's sitting in his office. So the why for me has not only changed what I go after, it really, really makes me ask why I'm going after it and what is my purpose for it. Because you will stand before God either way it goes, you know, whether it's his permissive will that said, you know what, do what you want to do, or whether it was his will to say, go grab that and you misused it. I'm good. No, I don't need a Range Rover right now. My attitude is not ready for it. I'm not. I am not ready for it. No, you put a Range Rover in my hand today. I already think that I'm all that to some degree.
Right.
If I thought that with a Volkswagen CC with a slender cut, a Range Rover, no, he's not ready for it. I'm not. And it was hard for me to even embrace to say that, God, you know what? No. Because the enemy was the one that was like, go get that. And you get, and then the Range Rover, they start sending stuff in the mail, the little books with the new orders, and you know, come test drive it, and we can get you approved. And I'm like,
so Tony, so by way of what you just said, I need to change my attitude before I get down to 195 again, huh?
If it's gonna make your ego, if it's gonna make the side of you that God says we should strive to kill the flesh daily, if it's gonna make the side of you that should be dead, that the spirit is fighting with, if it's gonna make that man stronger, and it's gonna make God have to fight more and harder to get to you, because that's what happened to me. Like, you know, there's a lot of things that he would not change because he knows what would happen if he did. And I've learned to embrace it. So when this year, when the blessings come, character-wise, I'm ready for them. And I'm mature enough to say, you can't give me that yet. And what God has done is he's purposely brought things to me to see what I'm going to say. Y'all, it's the hardest thing ever. Purposely come to you with the platter. What do you want? You've been good this week, son. How about this? And you're like, I want the shredded wheat. I don't even want the frosted flakes. I'll give me the shredded wheat. It's healthy. It's going to make my body better. And then, that's what I wanted. God, give me the wisdom, because who you're growing me into, who you're growing us into, we need to be smart about our decision making and our whys. And I'll be real. The reason that I don't have a car, the reason that I live in an apartment, the reason I don't have all the stuff that I said I would have at this particular point is because I didn't make good decisions. Because I was more concerned with the ambiance of being able to say I had it. And then when they leave, they don't care whether you're wearing Giuseppe's or Payless.
Exactly.
They don't care. Whether you live in the hood or not, they don't care.
Now, what's interesting is I'm on the other side of that. So, like, I'm in the place where I started out in that place where things and money were dominant in my life. God stripped me, and I got to the place where I didn't really care about that stuff. And, I stopped desiring it. But now I'm in the place where God is calling me back to a space where I got so self-sacrificial that I wasn't embracing life. And so God has been doing like crazy stuff to me to kind of like show me that it's okay if it's in the right space in your life. So like, I was out in LA, and guy had on some tennis shoes I admired. And, I said something to him about them, and he mailed them to me. And when I found out they were like Fear of God Nikes, they're like $600. I've never had a pair of tennis shoes over $100. I've never had a pair of Jordans. I know, like, people be like, for real, man. No, I'm for real. Never had a pair of Jordans. When Jordans hit, I was doing the business thing. So I wasn't. And so God is now saying it's okay. I was in a place with some of my friends, and I was trying to rent a car to go do something. They're like, why are you renting a car? And I'm like, well, I need a car. I need to run. They're like, we got cars. Just pick one. They're like, you want the Bentley? You want, what you want? And I'm like, and so God is like opening those doors back up, because I believe I've got it in perspective and it's not driving me, but it's scriptural. Seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things will be added unto you. So it's not like God is saying the things are bad. You just can't chase them. Exactly. It just can't be your primary, but God absolutely does allow it to be a side effect.
Yeah. Amen.
You know what? You just did something that I do. When I'm asked about upgrade, now my first thing, and you just did it, and I'm so glad somebody else did it, was that you know what? I'm good. I'll rent it myself.
Yeah.
Because I know how luxury makes me feel. I know how I know how it's gonna make me feel. And I would rather go mediocre and simple than grandiose, and something else comes with that, because to me, everything has a spirit. Everything does. Clothing, haircut, all that stuff. Like when I go get my haircut, 9 times I'm going to be asked at least 20 times, who cut my hair? Who are they? What are you doing to it, and whatever else like that. And I have to bring myself down and say, oh, my barber's amazing. Put all the credit on him. We don't want to talk about how I think I look. We don't. Because I know that there's always a piece of that kid that's in me that needed the validation growing up, the love, the hand clapping and the praise and everything else like that. If you give it to me and it's too much, it becomes a consumer. So I it's funny because I thought I was the only person when someone asked them, do they want something or what their options? I'm like, Maybe give me the Dodge Diamond 1987.
Yeah, but
I'm in LA. I'm in your house. I'm cool.
I can say this, that even though I agree with you, you gotta possess your own vessel. So you gotta
True.
know what sets you off. However, the desires of your heart are often connected to your heart and who you're designed to be. And so it's certain things like I've been experiencing that I know that's who I'm designed to be. So it's a difference between having things and the things having you.
Uh-huh.
I think that's where the struggle is. Because if you can let it go, if God says so, I think you okay. Like let's say you got the Range Rover completely paid for, and God said, give it to that guy. Now, if you can do that, then you okay. If you're like, God, not that, I'll buy another car, then that one got you. And so it's kind of like, to me, anytime you're in a space where you can do whatever God tells you to do with it, then you're in the okay space.
That's renewed discipline to me. Yeah. That's renewed discipline. That's getting up every single morning, understanding that nothing I have belongs to me. It can change tomorrow.
Yeah.
I've been in a position where I've had to give my last $100 to somebody else, and I'm like, do you know what it? Clearly, I know you're down here looking at the work that I'm doing. You want me to give it to them, and then to give it to somebody that I know is undeserving, but then you just get rid of it. I think that I'm mature enough in my space now to not allow things to hold me, which is why I'm more careful now. That if you do bless me or you give me something, then I'm really, really aware of what it came with, and I appreciate the whole. Those things are connected. Like, I'm a classy person. That's a part of my character. It's a part of who I am, to want to be a certain way, to not be like this, to represent well, to present myself well. And it just so happens that a part of that are these nice things. But I don't need to have a 27-bedroom house to prove a point. Just a nice home that is enough space for us not to be on top of each other. Where the kids have what they need, and my wife has her space and I have my space. We're driving, we have the money should something happen. We're able to live a life. We're able to do vacations. Those are things that are important to me. Having the house the size of, and having multiple places across the country, for what, I'm one person. Those are the things that when I start thinking about why I desire what I desire, is it unrealistic? And not that the Lord can't take us there, but why do you want it? And who told you that you needed it to be what I needed you to be?
Yeah.
Because you don't, because you're being what I want you to be right now without any of it. So I'm as things come, and I think I said it when we were talking last time, I feel like we're about to be fast tracked into some things.
Yeah.
And that's all because we're like, okay, well, cool, God, it don't matter. It's cool. I've lifted and Ubered everywhere. I'm perfectly okay with it. And prefer it, to be honest, versus having to do all the other stuff. So when you do come through and you bless with the opportunities, and we're in Los Angeles because Deedon wrote this beyond amazing script that Steven Spielberg then purchased. And we're there front row. Like, it's not going to be like, oh my God, it's going to be like, that's my dude.
Yeah. And D, I do want to tell you personally, I do enjoy award shows. And
yes,
I
me
go
too.
in person.
Me too.
So like,
Yes.
when you offer that,
no Zooms.
You gotta hook a brother up. I want to go
Yeah.
to the Oscars. I want to do the red carpet. I want to do the whole night.
Want to be on the stage with you when you get your award in the background, like a bunch of groupies, all that. Yes.
Yeah.
Y'all really blessed me right now, because my wife, again, we got back into the working out and stuff like that. And I'm looking at her, she's going hard. And I was like, hey, like, you for real about this? And you know what she told me? She, as you two are blessing me right now, she told me, she's like, I'm thinking about that red carpet. She's like, you ain't gonna have to bring me a seat. These are her words, not mine. She's like, you're not gonna be that handsome black guy in Hollywood with that chunky white wife. No. Like, hey, she's like, nope. She was like, I'm gonna represent you on their red carpet. I'm like, all right, baby, that's a good look. I appreciate it.
We're gonna be in our best. Like, I mean, I'm talking about best. The man,
Man,
and I believe that you're gonna get that call. You know, Pastor's
amen,
goal, his dream of purchasing the mall and revitalizing it is gonna happen. I mean, the enemy can
amen,
fight God's purpose and his plan for so long. But I think the beautiful thing is the character of understanding why God chose you to do that.
amen.
Why he gave you this the desire to actually be business owners and controlling our own fate so we can make room for him.
And I think that's part of why what God is doing with me here on the code is like listening to people. And I'm of the impression that, I think I posted this on my Facebook yesterday. I never want to go into a room thinking I already know. I want to, in any conversation I'm engaged in, I want to be of the impression I don't know anything, and I'm here to pick up something that's going to bless me. So I just want to say thank
Absolutely.
Well, I need to say this because it's just pressing on me. So maybe it's somebody that needs to hear this. But when we were talking about the whole accumulation of things, I got to a point when I was following what the call on my life. When I told you guys I was at the house and I got this big house and all these bills, and I mean the weight that was crushing me because every day I'm trying to figure out where money's coming from. I'm doing, just out here trying to make it happen. And I remember there was one night I waited till my wife went to bed, and I was so hurt. I was crying steamy tears. When I've seen like it's because you're so hot when the tears hit your face, it makes smoke. And
you was big mad.
I was saying to God, this is not right. This is not right, God. And you're asking too much of me.
Wow.
And I remember it hit my spirit that if Jesus died on the cross for me, how could I ever say anything God asked me was too much? I said, because everything I had was at risk. My cars were at risk. My house was at risk. It felt like my marriage was at risk. And I really thought about it. And I said, if somebody said, give me your car or your life, I don't have to think about that. Or give me your house or your life. I don't have to think about that. So if Jesus died so I could have life, how could I ever say anything that God was asking of me was too much? And I really kind of surrendered. Okay, God, it is what it is. This what you asking me to do? Cool. And when that moment happened, everything began to shift for me. Everything. But I had to release all of the attachments, because when you're attached to anything beside the will of God, it's the moment you can start departing the sin.
And it happens so meticulously. Departures and separation don't happen loud. They happen over time. It's like the enemy is really, really good at understanding that we're not paying attention to what's happening. And so you don't I didn't pray that. There's no big deal. It's just one day. And God's like, no. You don't understand. You just knocked off 20 years off of what, and we don't think like that. You know what I'm saying? And so it happens, and then you look up and now you places that you never thought you would go. And you're with people that you never thought you would be around, and you're saying things and doing things that you never thought you would do, all because you were coerced, not having those senses to again ask yourself why. Like when I get around my friends, they call me Pearly Gates. I think it's the funniest thing in the world because I'm moral. I'm not going to cuss you out. Now, does the desire and the thought there? Absolutely. Yes. Can go completely. I know I'm a wordsmith. I know it. I can dismantle you. I know it. However, the person that goes back in my mind is, what is God going to say when all this is over and you didn't cuss such and such out and y'all didn't got into it and you get home and you're by yourself and then God calls you into that little private space with him to chastise you? Not only do you have to hear God's disappointment, you have to feel the pain of it, but then he gonna make you go back and fix it. And he's going to allow everybody to dump on you what you dumped out. So what's the point? One thing that came to me this week was know those that labor among you. So you and so knowing them, so you're not offended when they do what they do. You're a manipulator. I know that. So why am I upset when you do what you do? You know what I'm saying? Why allow ourselves to be raveled up by what we ask God to show us? I asked him to help me not make the bad decisions. So when he stopped me from doing what I thought was fun, that was protection.
Yeah.
I didn't get to go hang out with them and go be foolish and go be stupid. But no, what it also did is it set a standard. We were at a game night and everybody's taking shots. And I'm like, I don't drink. So I'm taking shots of water. It is what it is. Y'all can be mad all day long. I don't care. But ain't none of y'all got a heaven or hell to put me in. And that's perfectly fine.
No.
Mm-hmm. But you know what?
Thing of no.
Prior to that, when we did a game night, I did. And they were shocked. Like, the minister's doing X, Y, and Z. And so, I had to pull on my ego. I do what I want to do. I'm growing. And then God's like, oh, you can? Okay, cool. Okay, you're great. So now it's when they started respecting the God in you and in us, you have to respect it. And your unsanctified and unsaved person start to remind you, like, you don't do that. Like, that ain't what you do. That's what I said, D, I'm so glad you brought up the why. Because I'm telling you, that piece saves me. Like, I literally want to go buy this $350 pair of Jordans. I want them so bad. But can I afford them? Yeah, I could go get them. But who cares?
Right.
Don't nobody look at my feet. Who cares? Who really cares?
Yeah.
Right.
Nobody.
So let's close with this. What adjustments do you feel like you need to be made in 2021, either individually, as a Black community, or as a country? Whatever you want to speak on.
I think as a Black community, we have to, while it's not scriptural, it's right. When it says charity begins at home and then spreads abroad. As Black people, we can't expect others to respect us, to treat us equitably, and to just love on us if we can't love ourselves. One of the things one of the biggest lessons I've learned about myself in 2020 is that any woman that I was ever with, or any friend or any family member who ultimately left me, it wasn't that they left me. What the Lord showed me was, he was like, you have been so focused on the future or on the past that you haven't been present. And if you're not present with you, how should anybody else be present with you? Wow. You have to love you enough to be concerned with right here, right now. And then those people who are in your life will see that your commitment to you right here, right now. And then they can probably follow suit. But you can't leave you and expect other people to stay with you. And so that's kind of where I think we are as Black people. We've kind of left ourselves and expect other people to stay with us, other groups to stay with us. And then this is not going to happen. And so I want to encourage every person who is a person of color, or who is an ally of people of color. Learn to love, man. Learn to love. Because it is impossible for me to say I love Toby, I love Pastor Green. It is impossible for me to love you if I don't first love myself.
Wow. Well said. Tavi?
I would say for me, individually, it's continue to give myself permission to do, to be, and to grow, and to prosper, and to explore. I've lived a life, I don't want to say safe, and I said it because I just didn't take risk. You know, I was like, nah, I'm good. But now it's like doing the things that bring me joy. And it's okay, you know, to do things that make me happy without having to worry about how such and such that can't do those things feels about it. And so continuing to grow, evolve, and gain, building healthier habits, because I can't be present for you if I'm not present for me. The first love has got to be between God, me, and myself. How do I feel about me? What do I think about me? What are my thoughts towards myself every single day? Am I looking to prosper? Am I working to be better? And am I doing those things not because it's the right thing to do for you, but it's the right thing to do for me, and making it about myself. I think in terms of a community, I think we had to do a better job in 2021 of supporting one another, and supporting one another with the same intensity that we would support someone that's not in our community. D may not, you know, today, right now, have a movie that is on the big screen. But when he gets his first documentary, whatever he's doing, we should be promoting it and screaming from the mountaintops, support our brother. Because this is what he's doing with the same intensity, and not waiting until it's the Walk of Fame day. And, oh, I remember when you was, no, it starts at home. Charity starts at home. You know, despise not that they're small beginnings is one of the things that I really, really remind myself of. And I think as a country, it's consistently acknowledging that we lie to ourselves. We think that we are not accountable to anything. We remove God from every area of society, and we only call on him when a tragedy happens. You know, we don't take the onus. Like, all this stuff is in the earth because we decided to, like, push him out. And so whether it's a personal attack, family attack, whatever, it's all happening because we pushed him out. And so for me, it's about holistic growth in every single area, living a life that is beneficial, that's pleasing to God, but that's exploratory enough for me to have good experiences, supporting the people that are in my family, and supporting the endeavors of people who have morals and balance, and being okay when they don't.
For me, there's a scripture that I've actually written a book from, Joshua 1:8. But right before that is a moment that I think is critical in the life of Israel. It's when they're taking the promised land after they've wandered for 40 years. And God says to Joshua, be strong and very courageous. And what really hit me was an adjustment we need to make is to be more courageous. Because sometimes we're so afraid to fail that we don't take the opportunities, because, you know, it's like, it's okay to have a dream, but if I really, really go at it and it doesn't work, then what does that say about me? Then people are going to talk about me, then this. And so I think one of the adjustments we need to make is to have the courage to go after what God has ordained for us, whatever that means. I remember when I accepted my call into ministry, God sent a prophet, and he did not tell me it was ministry, but he said, a door is going to open up for you. And he said, when that door opens up, you have to go through that door. He said, even if you have to eat peanut butter crackers every day for a year, you got to go through that door, because it's the whole reason you were put on earth. And if you don't go through that door, you'll never be happy and you'll never be satisfied. And so we have to have the courage to step into that destiny.
That just blessed me so immensely, it ain't even funny. My favorite scripture is Romans 8:18. For I reckon that the sufferings, plural, of this present time are not worthy to be compared to the glory that shall be revealed in us. Pastor, thank you so much for that, man, because sometimes I wear it. You know what I mean? I wear it. It's like, you know, I'll get a writing job here and there and get a little money saved and enough to carry me. And then when it starts getting low, I'm like, all right, when am I going to hit that big payday? You know what I'm saying? And God is, and the Lord has blessed me. He's just like, look, I'm going to take care of you. I'm going to take care of you and your wife. So thank you so much for that. I needed to hear that. That's word.
Step into it, Doc.
Yeah.
Step into it.
So Thank you all. Wonderful conversation. We hope something that we've said has been a blessing or opened up some thoughts or opened up, some issues of prayer in the process. We want you to enjoy 2021. It's going to be an incredible year for those that will listen to the Lord. So be blessed and join us next time on The Code.